Hey guys, welcome back to our weekly Zoom here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. with myself, Richu. Okay, so ladies, if you didn't join us last week, you may have noticed there's been a few changes in terms of branding, logos, and even our group WhatsApp as well. So we've called it Team Boss in terms of our WhatsApp group, because we are a team, guys. And the branding has changed to the Girl Boss method. And the reason being is over the time that I've been developing my programs and what I've been offering to you guys, I've definitely found myself more female focused, and perhaps maybe that comes from the fact that I am a female, and I've been on very many similar journeys to many of you that are on the program, and it just kind of made sense. And so I really wanted to kind of draw away from the previous name, because the previous name is also associated with my other like sister business, if you like, my more in-person Pilates and sports therapy stroke sports massage that I do. And obviously with my coaching and it being more online, and obviously I'm in a position where I'm able to serve more people, I just really thought about kind of separating the two, creating less confusion, and also bringing you my new ideas across, because some of for example, with the ebook books and stuff, like we've had the menstrual cycle one recently that you guys have got your hands on. I hope that's really benefiting you, ladies. And yeah, so it just kind of made sense. So hopefully you are all on board with the change and you are excited by it all as well. So yeah, anyway, if you've got any feedback on that, I'd love to hear. And again, as always, I'll always ask your advice on how to upgrade the program for you. Keep offering more services, just making sure that we can get the most out of your gym sessions, your nutrition, and of course, these like weekly educational topics. So definitely don't hold back on any topics that you would like me to cover in future. Okay. So today's topic is creatine. So I always mess up with my cursor. I say this every week. Here we go. Right. Today's topic is all about creatine. So I guess your first question is like, what the hell is creatine? Okay. So creatine, you could say, is a substance that we produce within our bodies. It's actually a supplement as well. You do actually find it in food as well, primarily in animal tissue, in animal protein. But creatine is probably one of those things that maybe years ago, I don't know if some of you followed my Instagram story this week, but I did talk about creatine, and the fact that somebody had told me that they thought it was a steroid, and that's what people used to believe that it was, and it's not. Okay, it's natural. We produce it as well. Okay, so creatine monohydrate, so to be more specific, because there are various different types of creatine out there, like different, I guess maybe they're produced differently, or they maybe the chemical makeup of them is different, but it is one of the most researched supplements like out there ever. And we did touch on supplements a couple of months ago. We did a very broad discussion about creatine, if you like. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about it because previously I have taken creatine, and you could say that I've probably used the last 7 or 8 days almost like a test for myself. So I started taking creatine last week, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about it shortly, but I did something called a loading phase. That's not always necessary. And then now I'm just on like a maintenance load, okay? And so you might be wondering, if you have been following my story, and obviously the person that recommended or suggested that we talk about this today, perhaps they were looking at my story or one of my Instagram posts and thought, do you know what? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? So, right. So, okay, obviously well-researched, lots of information out there. Creatine monohydrate is the one that we are interested in. And then I talked to you about the fact that, you know, it's found in meat, animal protein. And so because of that, very often we get non-responders, okay? So although there is research to say that it's wonderful, there may be some people that don't actually get much of an effect from it. And it's not to say that this is a wonder supplement and that's it, but it's definitely worth listening to today's session, and actually thinking about any questions that you might have for me, like that take you further from this as well. So with that being said, vegetarians and vegans tend to respond better, and that's because we have lower amounts in our food. So obviously, you guys know I'm a vegan. I scream about it all the time. But yes, it's great for me. And if anything, again, I don't know if this is entirely, well, actually, there is some research that might link to this, but I felt like way more energized, and I felt like I didn't need to have a second coffee. So for me, I generally have like one coffee capsule, one coffee a day. Sometimes that spills over into like two. On the extremely rare occasion, it might be three, okay? But generally speaking, I tend to do one coffee per day. And I felt there was like no point during those last few like loading days that I feel like I needed more caffeine. And I actually said to my partner that for some reason, I just feel like really energized. And I feel like I could like push, you know, to train more or harder. I almost felt very motivated as well. And I guess you could say that perhaps maybe might be the thing, that when we do start something new, we suddenly, this motivation comes in because we think, right, I've heard that this supplement is amazing and I just want to get the most out of it. Let me go and train and let's see what it does. So some of the things that you may have heard, or you may have heard me talk about, was, you know, the side effects. So side effects, I can clarify, are weight gain and stomach cramps, and question mark for these. Now, this is an interesting one because what creatine monohydrate actually does is it causes water retention. Now, ladies, we all know what that feels like when we get water retention. We generally get it when we are due on our period. We start getting bloated. You know, we're generally holding a lot more water. Sometimes that happens if we've had a very carb heavy meal or a carb heavy few days. We tend to hold a lot more water. And as you guys know, carbohydrates also carry water. So with that, if we are taking creatine monohydrate and it's not causing water retention, it's probably very likely that it's not being absorbed. The whole point of taking creatine monohydrate is to actually is for water to be, you know, that's the whole point of it. Is it's supposed to draw water into your muscles. And ideally, when we're taking creatine, we want to take it with food, carbohydrates generally. So some of the things that the benefits, if we like, that, you know, we've talked about some of the side effects here, and in some ways they are a bit of a benefit. especially when it comes to that water retention and understanding why and what it's doing for us. Benefits are, so it's got the biggest ergogenic effect in repeated high intensity efforts with short recovery. And so the reason why I've worded that very nicely or quite confusing, if you like, is the fact that that was actually a lot of the stuff that I'm saying today is backed by research. There is research that goes along with this. So these are things or points that I'm drawing out of articles. So basically they found that it creates, in terms of high intensity. So if you think about HIIT workouts that you are getting, you're able to elicit more effort and you recover in a shorter amount of time. So that's going to be really cool for your HIIT workouts, for example. And when we're thinking about HIIT, we could even be thinking about our cardio interval training as well. Our isometric strength increases or improves only after a few days of supplementation. So what isometric strength means is the ability of your muscles to contract at full force without having to lengthen and shorten. So generally we might be thinking about, like holding, oh, look at that little bicep curl. So holding a dumbbell. So, when we get to the top of, like, say, for example, some of our hip thrust workouts and that sort of thing, when we squeeze and we get to the top of that movement, or even the bicep curl, we're holding that top part, or that isolated part of the movement, is at your isometric strength. Okay. So we're obviously recruiting more muscle fibers to help us do the work. It increases the training load that can be tolerated and therefore increase hypertrophy. So hypertrophy is basically increase in muscle size. And when we're thinking about training load, sometimes when we're training, we can get some plateaus, especially when we are in a position of being in a calorie deficit. Many of us have got that sort of, especially this time of year, the summer, we have fat loss, weight loss goals. We are going to be consuming less calories than we are expending. Therefore, also, you are going to have issues when it comes to how your training capacity or load, is done. Okay. So within your sessions, almost says sausages there, is tolerated. So that's a great thing. So you're going to really be improving a lot of different qualities within that training. So the repetitions, your reps are going to be looking good. Your squats are going to be looking stronger, and you're going to increase your training volume. So what that means is that you'll be able to increase the volume. So you'll be able to lift more weight, do more reps. So guys, basically it's just going to increase and improve your training, just to keep it simple there. So yeah, few studies here as well. Increase in training quality and strength, increase in recovery. And then also there's actually, in terms of the recovery, when we're thinking about recovery and we're thinking about the lifting the weights and the muscle damage that we get, and then our bodies have to repair and recover and get stronger again. We're also looking at the adaptation. So your ability for your muscle to heal or to recover or regrow, to regain strength. And really, to put it rightly here, is what this is going to do for you guys is it's going to make you train better. You're going to have because you're recovering, you're going to be able to train more frequently, so you won't need to feel absolutely beat and then have 2 days off. You're going to recover better as well. So a lot of these things are definitely pointing at creatine and creatine when it comes to training, muscles, training, all of that. Now, we can also look at endurance. So for those of you that are, perhaps maybe you've got a running goal, and you're looking at trying to increase your endurance. We also had someone who was quite keen on playing football every evening. So again, potentially the benefits, you know, for that muscular endurance are going to be there as well, just by supplementing with the creatine. And actually what actually happens is when you're at that higher intensity, your you know, your lactic acid threshold, if you like, it occurs at a higher rate. So what that means is that at that lower level of training, you're not going to get that horrible burn straight away, and there's going to be an increased time to exhaustion. So you know, exhaustion meaning, you know, if you are running, you know, your 5K, and maybe that's quite long for you because you're not really a runner. Well, actually, it's going to help you increase that time to get towards 5K. Like, you know, previously you might be getting fatigue or exhausted at like 3K. This is going to help push you out that bit further. Creatine, actually, I haven't mentioned it yet, it's actually part of our energy systems. When we're thinking about, again, I don't want to confuse you guys or get too sciencey with you, but we're thinking about exercising in the presence of oxygen and exercising without oxygen. That sounds crazy, but there, you know, we have something called anaerobic exercise that usually lasts, I thought, oh my God, I'm really taking it far here, but I think it's about 30 seconds or 60 seconds, and then it's gone. Well, creatine actually forms part of that system. So that's, again, why it's quite interesting, especially when we're thinking about power outputs and stuff. Oh my God, loving this. And if you are still with me on this, guys, I love you for it as well. And would you believe I've not even clicked past on the sides yet? Getting carried away. Creatine comes in a powder form, and it also comes in a capsule form. And it's interesting because the creatine monohydrate, it's actually, you know, it's not too expensive. You can buy it from like My Protein or My Vegan online. Hit me up if you want a discount code for that. But I'm guessing that this is the molecular structure of what creatine monohydrate is. Comes in a powder form. You can put it in, I mix it in my protein shakes, or, well, that's what I've been doing, especially in my loading, or I've been recently, there's something called dry scooping. So you literally chuck the creatine into your mouth, and just want to check that we are recording. Yeah, we are recording. Yes. So you chuck it into your mouth and then you just gulp a whole load of water because it tastes like nothing and it's just powder and it's disgusting. Well, you can actually get it in tablet form. And I was in Whole Foods the other day and I saw creatine on the shelf. And albeit this was extremely expensive for this jar. I mean, it was Whole Foods at the end of the day, but it was full of other additional things. So I think it may have had like creatine with like ashwagandha, and then maybe like some lavender and maybe some other sort of herbal sort of essence of some sort. But they jazzed it up to obviously increase the price point. Guys, just buy it cheaply from My Protein, My Vegan. It's super cheap. You know, it's way more affordable to do it that way, and you want it in its simplest, purest form. Creatine monohydrate, easy peasy. Okay. So yes, fall in blood glucose during exercise. So that, again, what that relates to is, you know, when you're thinking about when you are exercising and you're really, you know, you've got a glycogen or glucose energy, and you're using it within your sessions. Perhaps that's come from the form of stored energy or from your previous meal. Well, that will come down at some point. So what this is saying is that fall and that sudden dip is not going to be as great as if you weren't supplementing. So yeah, just to kind of add that in there. And look at this. And we've got a wonderful girl boss woman lifting her weights. Lovely pictures here. Love it. They're helping each other out with the creatine. Okay. Moving on. Moving on. Yeah, here we go. This is the slide that I was looking for. So, why are we taking creatine monohydrate? Increased muscle strength, increased muscle size. Now you might be thinking, why the hell do I want to bulk? When we're talking about these things, ladies, it's not going to turn you into a bodybuilder. The point is it's increasing muscular size and strength at such a small, like, in such a minute rate that it's not going to make you look like massively muscly overnight. It's not going to do that. It takes time to build muscle tissue. But what we do want to do is allow ourselves as much opportunity as possible to create muscle size and muscle strength. Muscle size is going to correlate to that wonderful feminine look that, you're nice holding on to your curves and having a nice shape. That's what the muscle size is going to help with. The muscle strength is going to help you get stronger. That's going to be incredibly important for us to get that in the bank whilst we are young, because that muscle strength is going to support us and the muscle size, believe it or not, as we get older. So we've always got to look about our current self and then our future self. Improved intermittent sprint performance. So again, we kind of related that to like the HIIT training, for example, and improved recovery and glycogen storage. Okay. So again, we're not going to be relying on depleting our, our muscles or our cells of that glycogen. We're going to be using the creatine to help us get through. And the recovery, we are going to actually repair ourselves better from the very small micro damage that we get from eliciting, or inducing muscle soreness or muscle, basically working out, lifting weights. We need to repair from that. So we're going to have better recovery. When to take it? Ideally, you want to take it with food, because that's what it's going to do. It's going to help draw that water into your muscles, which is going to help you. Okay. So yes, we're going to get a bit of that muscle the water retention. But so ideally you want to take it with food or carbs, and definitely not on an empty stomach. When do you want to take it? After training. One of the reasons I say that is when you are thinking about taking it and it's disgusting, and let's say you only take the single dose per day, you want to stick it in your protein shake, your yummy protein shake that you might have, and perhaps maybe you're normally taking a protein shake after training, just purely from a time point. So it's just easier to whack it in there and you can't taste it. So that's why I would say that. And obviously, actually, to help replenish your creatine stores as well. So what to take exactly? Okay, so this is what I did. I did the loading because I really wanted to just because it had been a long time since I'd been taking it, and I should have been taking it this whole time. And I will continue now to take my maintenance dose. I actually loaded for 6 days because I just couldn't handle doing 7 days, because where I was doing 4 doses, I was breaking my meals up into 4 different times of the day. So a small meal. And for those of you that ever see my dinners online, I love to eat really big meals at night. Don't ask me why, but I just love having big meals. So because of this, and because I was sticking to my own calorie goal, I needed to make sure that I divvied up my calories over the day, and I allowed to have those 4 split doses of, 5 grams to lead up to the 20 grams per day. But now I'm just on a basic 5 gram a day for my maintenance. It's brilliant. So we're going to talk about the exciting stuff. This is all exciting, but maybe I've bored you with some of the stuff so far. What are the other benefits? I'm just going to take a swig of water. So for those of you that work, you know, where you have to use your voice lots, you need to make sure you've always got water on hand. Okay. Right. Improved cognitive function. I talked about this in one of my posts. So there is research to say that as little as 5 grams a day of creatine has a significant increase in both your working memory and your intelligence. Oh my goodness. If that is not motivation enough, do it. Just do it. It's brilliant. So yeah. And then obviously the vegetarian vegans like myself, you get increased muscle tissue and performance, or lean tissue and performance. And the reason that we're getting that is obviously because we don't have it present in our food. So obviously by matching it in and taking it as a supplement, it's going to help us. So this study that I'm going to talk about here, they said that vegetarians, when they had creatine, they had a significantly increased in total creatine, phosphocreatine, blah, 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 lean tissue, that's what we're interested in, and total work performance, what we're interested in. So obviously making sure that we are performing our sessions, you know, really, really well. And we're not just having a walk in the park. We need to make sure that we really get most bang for buck when it comes to these sessions. This is another important one. Another bit of water, because I've really talked. Excuse me. So, sleep deprivation. Excuse me. So this is an interesting one. And again, it might be another key motivator for you, as well as being, you know, like super intelligent and having this great memory that you can just draw upon at any point. It's great for arguments, etc. Sleep deprivation. So many of us struggle with sleep. And in this study, they found that creatine group, so I guess in this study, they used maybe a placebo, and then they had someone taking the real stuff, and they found that the creatine group had a significantly less decline in their working performance after sleep deprivation. So it's very likely that they forcefully deprived people of sleep for this, and they actually found that people had better performance as a result of taking creatine. So let's just say you get the sleep in, you nail the sleep, and you take the creatine, you're just going to be so much better. And now an added one, or a bonus one, that I have not put down on this, I did talk about it previously in one of the supplement Zoom that we did a little while back. But there is some research to say that having decreased creatine within the brain might be a precursor for neurodegenerative diseases. So when we're thinking about things like Alzheimer's. So having the creatine, there could be some research to suggest that it's going to delay that onset, or delay the occurrence, or delay the susceptibility for getting things like the neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, etc. Guys, super scary stuff. We are all young, loving life right now, living in the moment, living for today. It's such a good way to be, but we really do need to think about our future selves. And I keep looking at my future self as if she is standing to my right, but potentially she is. And I want to make sure that she has her brain working order, her memory is good, she's confident still, there's no decline in the brain itself, she's strong, she's able to carry her shopping home on her own, You know, there's so many reasons why we should be motivated to be our best selves. And if we are finding that right now, in the today and now, that we are struggling, and you know, shit is hard now, just think about, if shit's hard now, what is shit going to be like in 30, 40 years time? And that's, honestly, it's a natural process for aging. We will have a decline in muscle tissue, in bone density, in, like, you know, the way our brain works. Absolutely everything. There's going to be a natural decline. It's part of the course of life, it's part of nature, but we want to try and hack that system and delay it. You don't want to start getting these issues at age 60 when, to be fair, you could get them at age 90 and have a great time. So, you know, we are all going to live long. Science is advanced. You know, there's so many ways to save our lives these days, to keep our health on top, but we want to make sure that we are living optimally at that.